You've probably said, I like you, I miss you, even I love you, but none of those are what actually make a man fall. In fact, most women are saying the right things at the wrong time, and it's killing the attraction. Say one of these 3 phrases in the right moment, and he'll feel something so rare he won't even know why he's hooked. But he will be hooked. So let's dive in. These aren't cheesy pickup lines. These are emotional keys. Spoken with the right energy, they unlock that place in a man that's starving to be understood, respected, and deeply wanted. Every guy has it. Most just never let you close enough to reach it. Until you say these phrases. 1. I love the way you think. This isn't flattery. It's recognition. It's saying, I see your mind. I respect it. Most men don't hear this, and when they do, it disarms them. It tells him you're drawn to his depth, not just his looks or status. You've now stepped into rare territory, intellectual admiration. That's intoxicating to the right man. Phrase 2. I feel safe with you. This is the soft knockout punch. Safety isn't just about physical protection. It's emotional. When a woman says this and means it, a man feels like he's fulfilling his core purpose. It taps into his protector instinct. But here's the twist. Don't overuse it. Say it when it's earned, and he'll work to keep earning it. By the way, if you're someone who wants to not only attract a high-quality man, but inspire him to keep choosing you every single day, keep watching. Phrase 3 is the one that actually seals the emotional bond. Phrase 3. You make me feel feminine. Sounds simple, right? But here's the kicker. When a man hears this from a confident woman, it strikes right at his masculinity in the best way. It tells him he's activating the part of you that wants to lean back, to trust, to surrender, and that's magnetic. You don't have to raise your voice to make a strong impact. Sometimes it's the soft truth that shakes a man at his core. Let that really sink in, because in a world filled with noise, it's the quiet things that carry the most meaning, and when it comes to love, that couldn't be more accurate. Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. If you've ever felt like you're doing everything right, you're beautiful, intelligent, loyal, but it still feels like that's not enough to make someone stay, then this video is for you. Before we jump in, do me a small favor. Like this video and subscribe. It helps get this message to more women out there who are done with games and finally ready for something real. Now, let me share a truth that might sting a bit. There's a big difference between a man liking you and a man truly feeling you. One disappears once the excitement dies down, the other stays deep, lasting, and real. But here's the twist. He doesn't truly feel you because of your looks or how playful you are. He feels you because of your energy, your presence, your words. And once you learn how to speak from your heart instead of using tactics, that's when everything starts to change. We've been told to shrink ourselves, to hold back. We've been warned that showing too much, feeling too deeply, or loving too openly might scare him away. But what if that very fear is what's stopping you from getting the kind of love you actually deserve? Fear tells you to stay quiet. Real power says, let him see the real you. Fear says, make him chase. Power says, let him choose you. Let me ask you something. Have you ever walked into a room and felt someone's presence even before they spoke? Like the whole energy in the room shifted just because they were there. That's exactly what your words can do. When they come from your soul, not your performance. The kind of woman a man truly falls for, the one he doesn't forget, the one he builds a life with, isn't always the loudest or most glamorous. She's the one who sees him clearly, without trying to change him. She speaks in a way that brings peace, not chaos. She knows when to say the right thing, not to control, but to create connection. There's a quote by Denzel that goes, "True desire in the heart, that itch you have to be great. It's God's proof to you sent beforehand to indicate that it's yours." That doesn't only apply to success, it applies to love too. If your heart wants something deeper, something that's not just fun but safe, then that longing is proof that you're meant for it. You're not crazy. You're called to it. Say this out loud with me and drop it in the comments. I don't chase, I attract. I don't perform, I connect. I don't doubt, I remember who I am. Go ahead and write it, because each time you say it, you're teaching your mind a new truth, not one based in fear, but in freedom. Stick around, because what I'm about to share might change how you speak to men, and more importantly, how they react to you. These 5 phrases don't come from a playbook. They come from within. And once you learn them, you won't need to try so hard to be noticed. You'll already be felt. Here's the first one. I feel safe when I'm with you. Every strong man is looking for a space where he doesn't have to be strong every second. And when you say you feel safe with him, you just became that space. Let's go deeper. These are simple words. But don't be fooled. This isn't just something he hears. It's something he feels. It's not saying you're handsome or you're charming. It's saying you make me feel protected. And for a man who's been told over and over to be tough, to fix things, to carry weight without complaint, this hits different. Picture this. He's the one everyone depends on, the one expected to have it all together, even when he's struggling inside. Then you show up, not with more pressure, but with peace. You look him in the eye and say, I feel safe with you. That's not just sweet talk, that's giving him a space to breathe. That's not a compliment, that's giving him a home. And I know some of you might wonder, isn't that too emotional? Won't that make me look weak? Not at all. Vulnerability is not weakness, it's strength. And trust? That's the deepest kind of closeness. When you say this, you're not saying you can't stand on your own. You're saying, I'm choosing to relax and be soft with you. That choice, it changes the game. Because here's the real deal. Men don't fall for perfection. They fall for peace. And peace doesn't show up when you're trying to impress. It shows up when your heart says, I don't have to fight here. Denzel once said, ease is a bigger danger to progress than hardship. And sometimes, letting yourself relax in love is the hardest thing to do. Especially if you've been trained to always expect pain. But that place where you let your guard down, that's where love starts to grow. When you give a man the kind of words that say, you don't need to be flawless, just real, you open up a part of him that only love can reach. And don't mix this up with flattery. Flattery strokes the ego. This touches his heart. You're not saying, you give me butterflies. You're saying, you make me feel safe. And when a man hears that from a woman he respects, he stops acting, he starts showing up. Not because you need saving, but because he now sees that you trust him with something fragile, your softness. So next time the mood is right, don't hold back. Say it with your heart. Say it slow. Say it clear. And watch how he shifts. When he realizes he doesn't need to win you over, he just needs to be real with you. Men don't even consciously understand why they connect. Such a man, right in the brain. And when you speak to both his heart and his mind, that's where deep connection begins. Here's the next one. I love how you think. The fastest way to a man's heart isn't through his stomach, it's through his mind. Feed that, and you'll reach a part of him most people miss. Let's talk about this one. I love how you think. Simple, yet powerful. Because while most people are busy talking about how good a man looks or what he owns, almost no one stops to admire how he sees the world. And if you've ever noticed a guy light up in the middle of a deep conversation, it's because he finally feels like someone's actually listening. Picture this. It's late at night. You're in the car or on the couch, and he starts going on about some random idea. Maybe a future goal, a place he wants to visit, or what legacy means to him. Most would smile and nod, then change the topic. But not you. You lean in and say, I love how you think. That moment, that's gold. It's not about agreeing with everything he says, it's about showing that you hear him, that you value his thoughts, not just his achievements. And for a man who's always expected to perform and deliver, this feels like breathing fresh air. See, the world often praises what men do, but rarely honors who they are. And when you speak to his mind, you give him something rare, a connection that's not based on looks or effort, but on his essence. When you speak to his inner world, not just his outside success, you give him something rare, respect. And not the kind that's based on money or status, but the kind that grows through real connection. But let's be honest, this takes presence. You can't fake it. You have to be fully there, listening not to reply, but to truly understand. That's what makes it powerful. It's not about throwing a compliment. It's about giving a man the space to be more than what others expect from him. You're not saying, "You're smart," like it's some basic reward. You're saying, "I notice how your mind works and I admire it." You're showing interest in how he thinks, because to the right man, that means way more than anything physical ever could. Denzel once said, "Don't aim to make a living, aim to make a difference." And when you show a man that his ideas, thoughts and dreams matter to you, that you're not just looking at him but truly seeing him, that's when you become unforgettable. Because deep connection isn't built just in the bedroom, it's built in those small moments when someone says, "I value how your mind works." So don't wait for some perfect time. Say it when he's thinking out loud. Say it when he's dreaming. Say it when he's talking about something nobody else bothered to hear. Because when a man feels like you love how he thinks, not just when he's impressive, you become more than someone he likes. You become someone he respects, someone he chooses. Now let's take it further with a phrase that shows you don't just notice his strength, you honor it. "I adore how you handled that." It's not the words a man says that define him, it's how he carries himself when no one's watching. This third phrase, it's a quiet but powerful one. "I admire how you handled that." See, compliments are easy. "You look good today," "Nice ride," "You're so smart." Sure, they're fine. But when you look at him seriously and say, "I admire how you handled that," you're not just praising what he shows to the world, you're respecting who he is inside. And that goes deep. Let's be real, life doesn't hand out awards for the most meaningful things. No one claps when a man stays calm under pressure. No one posts about it when he chooses to stay silent instead of lashing out, or when he tells the truth even though it's hard. But those are the things that show his true character. And you saw it. You noticed. You weren't distracted by flashy things. You were paying attention to his foundation. It's rare. That's powerful. Picture this. He's telling you about something tough that happened at work. Maybe someone disrespected him, maybe it could have gone badly, but instead of blowing up, he handled it with maturity, with self-control. Most wouldn't even notice, but you do. You look at him and say, "I admire how you handled that." Do you know what that does? It touches his character, not just his pride. It reminds him that all the strength he's built, all the times he chose grace over ego, all the emotional effort, it was noticed. And that kind of admiration, that doesn't just feel good, it grounds him. Because deep inside, every man wants more than to be liked. He wants to be respected. And when that respect comes from a woman he deeply values, it makes him want to rise to that standard. Not to impress you, but to live up to how you see him. And again, it's not about feeding his ego, it's about seeing his truth. You're not just saying something to make him feel good, you're reflecting his higher self back to him. You're saying, "I notice how you behave when no one's looking, and it matters to me." Denzel once said, "Acting is a way to make a living, but family is life." And when a man hears that you admire how he shows up, not just when eyes are on him, but in private, that's when he starts thinking about you as someone for the long haul. Someone who doesn't just cheer when he wins, but who sees how he walks. So next time you witness it, him stepping up even when it's hard, tell him, "I admire how you handled that." That short line doesn't just hit his heart. It reminds him of who he really is. And now we're going even softer and even stronger. This next phrase gives him permission to just be, to not have all the answers, and to be held. You don't have to have it all figured out. I'm here. Sometimes the most powerful thing a man can hear isn't "I need you." It's "You don't need to be perfect. I'm not going anywhere." Let's talk about this fourth phrase. You don't have to have it all figured out. I'm here. This one doesn't yell. It comforts. It finds its place right in the space between his silence and his stress. Because here's what people don't tell you about good men. They carry more than you think. Pressure, expectations, silent fears of failing someone they love. And the more deeply he loves you, the heavier those fears. Because now it's not just about getting through life. It's about being enough for you. Men are told they have to be problem solvers. They should always know what to do, stay strong, and never show cracks. But that kind of pressure, it doesn't bring closeness, it creates distance. So when you say, you don't have to have it all figured out, I'm here, you're not saying it's okay to give up. You're giving him a safe space. Picture this, he's sitting in silence, his mind full of noise. Maybe work didn't go well, maybe he's struggling with something personal. And then you, without pushing or expecting answers, gently hold his hand and say, you don't have to have it all figured out. I'm here. That moment, it changes everything. His shoulders drop. He breathes easier. Because you just gave him something rare, room to just be human. This doesn't mean you carry his weight. It means you remind him that love doesn't disappear when life gets hard. He's allowed to be confused, tired, scared. And that doesn't make him weak. That makes him real. And here's something most never say. When a man feels emotionally safe, he opens up. He shares. He softens. Because now, love isn't something he has to earn. It's something he grows with. That's the difference between being a fun break and being someone he builds with. Denzel said, I never really had the classic struggle. I had faith. And faith in a relationship means this: even when you don't have it all together, I'm still here. I believe in us. So don't overlook this phrase. Say it gently. Say it when he least expects it. Because in a world that constantly pressures him to have answers, your words become the place where he can just be. And now we reach the last phrase, the one that takes your belief and turns it into his strength, the one that reminds him, even in his darkest moments, he's still worthy. I believe in you. The right words at the right time don't just help, they ignite. Let's talk about one of the most meaningful things you can say to a man: I believe in you. Simple? Yes, but these 4 words, they're like breath when he's drowning. Because there will come a day when he's unsure. After a setback, after something that broke him quietly, the world will feel too heavy, and he'll start to wonder if he's even capable of the life he dreams about. That's when your voice matters more than anything. That's when you become his anchor. You're not saying he has to be flawless. You're saying, I see the real you, the one behind the stress, behind the pressure, and I still choose you. That's not flattery. That's faith. When a man hears that kind of belief from a woman he honors, something shifts in him. He doesn't want to impress you. He wants to become the version of himself that you already see. You're not fixing his problems. You're not giving him answers. You're just standing beside him in the dark, reminding him of his light. And that kind of love, that's not just romantic. That's legacy. So there you have it. 5 strong phrases that don't just get a man's attention, they touch his soul. These aren't tricks. These aren't games. They're real. When you speak them from a genuine place, they create the kind of love that lasts. Deep, honest, strong. If this message sparks something in you, don't keep it to yourself. Like this video, subscribe for more heart-level truth, and share it with someone who needs to hear it today. Remember, the love you're looking for isn't far away. It already lives in the way you speak, Until next time, stay grounded and keep glowing. You make me feel feminine is deceptively simple, but it's emotionally loaded in a way most people overlook. When a confident woman says this to a man, it doesn't just make him feel good, it activates something primal in him. A man's deepest desire in a relationship often ties back to his sense of masculinity, of being wanted not just as a partner but as a protector, a provider, a strong and capable presence. That phrase tells him, in the most vulnerable yet powerful way, you bring out the part of me that feels safe letting go, that feels delicate, that feels cherished, and that admission is rare. Most women are told to be strong, independent, and self-sufficient. And that's amazing, but when you can also show that you want to feel soft, adored, and feminine around him, without losing your strength, it becomes a dynamic he craves, but hardly ever gets to experience. This phrase signals something very specific, that you feel emotionally relaxed in his presence. It tells him that he's doing something right without you having to list it. He will replay it in his mind, not just because it makes him feel powerful, but because it validates that he is creating a space where you can feel safe enough to stop leading, stop controlling, and just be. That's deeply attractive. You're not saying, I can't handle life on my own. You're saying, when I'm around you, I don't have to. And for a man who values connection, that's like emotional gold. It makes him feel like the dynamic between you two has polarity, energy, spark. Not because you're dependent, but because you're inviting him into his masculine by fully relaxing into your feminine. Timing, however, is key. Don't say this out of nowhere or in a moment that doesn't feel genuine. Use it when he's done something that made you feel adored, seen, or protected. Maybe he reached for your hand at the right time. Maybe he handled a situation with calm strength. Maybe he simply listened in a way that made you feel emotionally held. When you say you make me feel feminine, it becomes a reward, not a manipulation, not a tactic, but a truth that deepens your bond. He starts to associate your softness with his presence, and that connection keeps him emotionally invested. It turns a moment into a memory, and a phrase into something he wants to hear again. Because if he feels like he's the reason you get to be in that softer state, he'll want to keep showing up in ways that allow you to stay there. I feel safe with you might sound like just a compliment, but to a man who genuinely cares about you, it hits somewhere much deeper. Men are often wired to protect, to provide, to create a sense of security for the people they love. But they rarely hear direct acknowledgement of that. When you say this phrase with sincerity, it tells him that he's not just seen for what he does, but for how he makes you feel. That's powerful. It lets him know that his presence, his energy, his decisions, even his calmness during tense moments, are creating an environment where you can let your guard down. And that is not something most women freely offer. Saying, I feel safe with you shows emotional vulnerability. It tells him you trust him, not just physically, but emotionally, mentally, even spiritually. This kind of trust isn't given lightly, and that's why it means so much when it's earned. You're telling him that the way he moves in the world allows you to rest, not constantly be in control or on edge. You don't need to monitor every moment because his energy is stable, grounded, and protective. And what makes this phrase land even harder is the fact that men deep down often question whether they're enough. They question if they're making a real difference or just going through the motions. Your words become proof that they are enough, that they're creating something valuable and rare, that they're not just filling space in your life, but actually improving it. Saying this doesn't mean you're weak or dependent. It actually shows incredible strength, because it takes courage to admit when someone makes you feel safe. In a world that constantly tells women to toughen up, saying I feel safe with you is like giving him a window into your softer, more open self. It's saying I trust you with the parts of me that I don't show everyone. And for a man who's serious about you, that's everything. He doesn't want to just be liked or desired, he wants to feel trusted. This phrase tells him that the emotional space he's creating is working, that his effort to be consistent, reliable, and strong isn't going unnoticed, but this only works when it's real. Don't say it just because you think it's what he wants to hear. Say it when he's actually earned it. Maybe he handled a conflict with patience instead of anger. Maybe he stood by you when things got hard. Maybe he just sat and listened when you really needed someone. In those moments, when he shows up and makes you feel anchored, that's when this phrase means everything. It becomes less about words and more about recognition.